You're never going to grow if you don't fail. You're never going to become who you want to be in life if you don't make mistakes. And when you look at the most successful people in the world, it wasn't because they didn't have failure. It was because of their ability to go through that failure, learn from it, and keep going. If you want to grow in life, you need to get out of your own way and stop judging yourself so hard. I hear this all the time, especially with personal training and coaching. People will come to me and say, "Oh, I signed up for this program, or I went to see that coach. I'm not making any progress." And I ask them, "Well, what are you doing in the program? What are you doing with the coach?" They're like, "Well, I'm working out. I'm lifting weights." Okay, great. Are you getting stronger? Are you getting faster? Oh, no, not really. So you're working hard, but are you getting better? Because that's the thing about hard work. Hard work doesn't equal results. Smart work equals results. Working hard is just grinding and pushing and pushing and pushing. But are you actually getting closer to your goal? Are you actually improving? That's the difference between working hard and working smart. And one of the biggest parts of working smart is being able to look at your failures. Look at the times where you didn't get the results you wanted and say, "Okay, why didn't I get those results? What can I do differently next time?" If you're going to put in the hard work, then at least make sure that you're getting the results from that hard work. Here's another phrase that we use a lot in fitness, and that is progressive overload. That means that over time, the stress that we put on our body gets greater and greater, and we continually challenge ourselves to push more weight, push more volume, push more intensity. But we can do the same thing with anything in life. We can take on more stress, whether it's emotional, physical, mental stress, but we have to continually try to push ourselves past the point where we used to be. The only way to get bigger, stronger muscles is to go to the gym and progressively overload your muscles by putting more stress on them than they've ever felt before. And then, when you come back to the gym the next time, you have to do that again. And this is how we grow. This is how we adapt. When we experience stress, whether it's a deadline at work, whether it's a performance in front of a large audience, whether it's going up and talking to a girl, whatever it is that you're trying to improve on, we experience stress and we go through that stress and we get to a certain point and we break. When we hit that point where we break, that's the point where we were before. That's the point where we got stressed out and we couldn't handle it anymore. Once you know that point where you broke, now you know where you were. So the next time you go through something similar, you know that that's where you broke last time. So you have to go through that again, and you have to push a little bit further until you break again. And every time you do that, you get a little bit stronger. Every time you go through that stress, you get a little bit better. Now, we always have to keep pushing past the point where we broke. We have to go past that point and we have to push farther because there's no such thing as reaching your potential. That's a myth. That's something that we tell ourselves so that we can stop growing. The truth is, you never reach your potential. There's always something else to learn. There's always a better version of yourself that you can become. If you start telling yourself that you've reached your potential, you're never going to grow. Your potential is limitless. Your ability to grow is limitless. Now, obviously, biologically, there's limitations. Like, I'm never going to be 6'9". I'm never going to be able to dunk a basketball, even if I train for it. There's biological limitations. But in terms of your ability to grow, to get better, to learn, to become who you want to be in life, that's limitless. There's always room for improvement. There's always room to grow. And the only way that you can continue to grow is by pushing yourself past the point where you currently break. For example, I spoke to thousands of people in my seminars, in my programs, in my classes, and I asked them, how many of you have ever been rejected by a girl? How many of you have ever been rejected in business? How many of you have ever been rejected by a client? And almost everybody raises their hand. Then I ask them, how many of you think that that rejection made you a failure? And at first, a lot of hands go up. It made me a failure. I am a failure. And then I ask them, well, if you're a failure, why are you here? A lot of hands go down. Well, I'm not a failure. I just failed. I got rejected. I lost the race. I didn't make as much money as I wanted to. I didn't get the girl. Okay, you didn't get the girl. You lost the race. You didn't make as much money as you wanted to. So what? Get over it. Everyone experiences failure. Everyone experiences rejections. Everyone experiences losses. The people that go on to win, the people that go on to get the girls, the people that make the most amount of money are the people that learn from their failure. A lot of people quit when they fail. They quit when they experience that failure because they're afraid to experience it again. They don't want to go through that pain. But that pain is a part of the process. The only way you get past it is by going through it. If you quit when you experience failure, then you're never going to get better. You're never going to grow. So the next time you feel like quitting, the next time you feel like giving up, the next time you experience failure, I want you to say to yourself, this is not the end. This is not the finish line. This is not where I'm done. This is where I start. This is where I begin. This is where I pick myself back up and I go again. This is where I say, okay, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? How could I have prepared more? How could I have worked harder? How could I have made this better? Here's a quote that I love by Dennis Waitley. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. It's the extra practice, the extra effort, the extra study. It's the extra work. That makes the difference. So when you do find yourself experiencing failure, experiencing setbacks, feeling like you're not progressing, ask yourself, am I doing the extra work? Am I doing what it takes? Or am I looking for shortcuts? Or am I looking to blame other people? Am I looking for excuses? If you're constantly blaming other people, constantly blaming external factors, then that's going to hold you back. You're never going to grow. You're never going to get better. You're never going to accomplish anything if you're always blaming other people. So the next time you experience failure, I want you to look within yourself and say, what could I have done better? How could I have worked harder? How could I have pushed myself further? Because that's the only way that we get better in life. That's the only way that we grow in life. It's by pushing ourselves, it's by stepping outside of our comfort zone, and it's by going through that discomfort that we find ourselves in. If you want to be successful, if you want to accomplish things, if you want to become who you want to be, then you have to embrace the journey. And the journey is not always going to be easy. The journey is not always going to be fun. The journey is not always going to be comfortable, but it's worth it. And nothing worth having in life comes easy. Nothing worth having in life is given to you. You have to earn it. You have to fight for it. And the only way that you can do that is by embracing the journey and embracing the process.